the freak out that wealthy people, and I want to say wealthy people because I don't even know if we know, the most vociferous wealthy people, the people who cater to wealthy people, the business people, as marked by CNBC, are so terrified of Zohran Mamdani and the prospect of him winning. And part of this is because, you know, we saw what happened when Eric Adams won the mayoral race. It completely redefined the way that Democrats felt like they should run and position themselves. Now, that's a function of just how sort of weak they are in terms of having a particular agenda. And it certainly won't be as influential with Mamdani because there is an act of resistance to what Mamdani wants to do. But here it's articulated and it's fascinating. Elizabeth Warren does a very good job of pushing back on this.
This is her like greatest skill, is being in a room with a bunch of like corporatist rich hacks and having the language to push back on them in this way. She has a lot of experience doing it. And
I will say, I think like the specific response to millionaires are going to leave, which all the data has shown that that's not the case. New York City has more millionaires after tax increases than it's ever had. But the idea of like, there are people leaving the city because of expense, and it's not millionaires.
Exactly.
This is your issue. It's a national issue, not a local issue.
The issue is affordability. Do you know how many working families are chased out of New York City every day because they can't afford housing, they can't afford groceries, they can't afford child care? What Zohran is saying is, I want people to be able to afford to live in New York City. That's what keeps it a vibrant city. That's what makes people want to live
Nobody
here.
disagrees with that, Senator, but raising taxes in order to do it? Why is that the answer?
Oh, dear. Are you worried that billionaires are going to go hungry?
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
You know, they've threatened to do that over
All right,
and
pause
over.
it. I just want to contemplate this for a moment. The argument is that billionaires or millionaires are going to leave New York for Florida, let's say, because of after your first $1 million, you get an additional 2% tax on anything you make above that. So it could be up to like, you know, if you make only $2 million a year, that could cost you an extra $2,000. Yeah. But put that aside. Yeah, no, Brian probably won't see again. But just contemplate this. If this was such a dramatic impulse to push wealthy people out of New York, why do any live here? You can go to Florida and pay no state income tax.
And a lot of them do that. A lot of them live 6 months and a day in Florida, and then they come back to New York during months that are a little bit less hot down there. And so they're already doing it.
That's what Rush Limbaugh did. But why are there any millionaires in New York City paying taxes here? Why are there any? If this theory is correct, there should be 0 millionaires and 0 billionaires who pay taxes in New York City.
And I just can't believe that was a real question and real follow-up. But the answer is taxing billionaires? Does he not understand how confiscatory taxation works? Yes, it's a method to redistribute wealth. And that's what this is an effort to do, except to help regular people.
And the solution has always been to cut taxes.
And I want to be clear, it's not confiscatory.
Oh, sorry.
Unless it like is literally just to diminish their wealth. Now, I would like to see, let's do 90 cents on every dollar after $1 million. But instead, it's going to be 0.02 cents. Go ahead.
Oh.
Millionaires are going to go hungry?
No, I'm worried that they're going to leave and spend their money elsewhere.
You know, they've threatened to do that over and over and over.
And they have. They've left.
But here's the thing.
And Goldman Sachs, when they create new jobs, they do it in Dallas. And Blackstone won't build a new headquarters. They go on and on.
You want to have a workable
city. Oh, my God. 2 financial outfits are not going to expand their doing, like, because it's so hard to find financiers in New York City.
Gosh, man. That's the jobs we're worried about.
Do you realize that you'll be able to you'll be walking around New York City and it's going to be so difficult to find some type of brokerage house that you want to go browse or something like that. You have a nice day, take the kids, let's go look at the brokerage house windows. Go ahead.
Have a city that's vibrant. You want to have a city where streets are full, where there are things for sale 24 hours a day. Then you need people who can live here and work
Well, we
here.
got that right now,
Not
by the way.
people who
I
have
would
to
point
take
out
an
New
hour
York
and a
is
half in.
is thriving. So right
Well,
now it's doing
people-
pretty well, actually.
I'm glad you think they're doing well, because a lot of people are struggling to pay for housing. A lot of people are struggling to pay for groceries. And I got to tell you, mamas and daddies who are facing $25,000 a year to pay for childcare.
Those are national issues. I mean, I know they are the local state, but you can't.
New York City.
Yes, but if you deal with them in that way, by what is always your backup, just tax them more, they will leave.
No, the backup is make this city and make this country work for everyone. I get that the Republican point of view is make this country and make every city in this country work better and better for a handful of billionaires and let everybody else eat dirt. But what Mamdani won on in a Democratic primary is he said, I'm going to address affordability. And he didn't win by one vote.
No, he won by a lot. It's very
won
much
by a
unclear he
lot.
has the ability to actually do it, by the way, based on the laws and what the governor has to say and what he would actually have to do.
You know, I love that as the fallback position, and that is he's fighting for the right thing, but maybe the billionaires
Well,
will have a way to
everybody
block
wants a
him.
more
All right, pause it for
affordable
one
city. There's
second.
no doubt
I
about
just
it.
want to say that this guy has absolutely no idea. He just went as deep as he could in explaining what the headwinds that Mamdani's going to face. He has no idea. 100%, not even a clue. If she had just stopped and said, what's going to be difficult specifically? I mean, that's it. It would have been over. But yes, it is a complete retreat from like, okay, when you basically put it between billionaires getting what they want and people eating dirt, okay, but none of this is going to happen. It's all pie in the sky. So what are you worried about?
Right. That was his last refuge, basically, there. There was an article in the New York Times in, I think, February that showed that a quarter of New York City residents don't have enough money for housing and food.
That's a national issue, Emma.
It was a report done by Columbia and Robin Hood, and it found that the share of New Yorkers in poverty was nearly double the national average in 2023 and increased by 7 percentage points in the past 2 years. And you have the CNBC anchor arguing that we shouldn't be doing this 2% tax over income over $1 million in order to make it more affordable. Right.
Move CNBC to Florida.
I mean, isn't that an incredible statistic? It is double the national average and increased by 7 percentage points in just 2 years. And that is in part due to the crazy amount of wealth in this city and the fact that housing has been used, especially in like expensive cities like this, as speculative assets for rich people, including like international rich people and people that don't even live here that flip properties, and there's no housing for everybody else and no protections.
Just to be clear, the 2%, it taxes 2%, not 0.02%. It is 2% of in that second million. So if you make $2 million, your taxes go up by $20,000. If you make $1 million, your taxes don't go up at all. It's that second million that you get the 2% on. Just to be clear. But
I couldn't remember it either.
So Molotov Burrito writes, and it can't help but feel highly critical of Warren's comments after she sabotaged the working class in 2020 by splitting the Super Tuesday vote. She speaks out when it's safe. First off, I don't know if I agree with your characterization of splitting the working class vote. I think the issue was that her critique of her was that she was the professional managerial class, regardless of whether or not she should have stayed in for Super Tuesday and whether that would have made a difference. The comments you should appreciate. I think it's important to sort of like judge these politicians rather than what you think is in their heart or anything else, just upon either their actions or in this instance, they're pushing back on these narratives when necessary. There are things that Warren does well, and there are things that she does poorly. Some of her political decisions I take issue with. But when she comes out strong for stuff like this, you should just appreciate that for what it is. It is pushing back on a narrative where there are very few other people who are doing that. She was one of the I think she was literally the first person to support Occupy. But nevertheless, here is Zohran Mamdani writing in X. Working class New Yorkers are leaving New York City at significantly higher rates than wealthy residents. This is according to research by Fiscal Policy Institute. Affordability concerns, especially housing and the cost of raising a family, are major drivers of population loss in New York State. The report notes that 90% of this loss comes from New York City, with Black and Hispanic residents, households with young children, low to middle income families most likely to live. In contrast, wealthy New Yorkers have left the state at much lower rates, with the exception of a temporary surge in their migration rates in 2020 and 2021, likely induced by COVID-19. In typical years, the average New Yorker has been 4 times more likely to leave the state than the top 1% of earners. Now, the response that the CNBC guy would give if he wasn't embarrassed to do it is, but they're poor. The millionaires, they're poor. They don't add anything.
1 millionaire equals like 10,000.
Exactly. Exactly.
More bang for your buck.
And it is indicative of, and then the assumption is, oh, you need rich people so that other people can get money. Because if they're not in New York spending their money, now, to be clear, these rich people are not going to the deli and buying, no. Whatever it is. They're not buying, they're buying high-end stuff that is completely untethered to neighborhoods or other places. They're not buying their, and they may be hiring a couple of people, but it exhibits what that person's perspective of is a definition of a good economy. And whether a good economy is having wealthy people or having just more people live without suffering or immiseration on some level. And the bottom line is, all those wealthy people leave. I mean, Warren and I think Mamdani are careful to say, like, fine, goodbye, go.
I mean, Goldman Sachs.
If they did, you would see affordability increase.
Exactly.
And you would see a just as vibrant city, maybe not with the high-end stuff that you could get, that, like, $500 meal that you really desperately wanted.
Gold sirloins.
It's not going to be there. But you'd get a much more vibrant city.
But it would be there because New York City
New York City.
New York City.
If they all left.
Yes, in theory, right?
And they're here because it works for them business-wise. They're like Goldman Sachs. They're not here because they want to give back to the city. They're here because they're giant hoovers of money, and New York City makes it able for them to do that.
Right.
Now, here is Cory Booker, who dropped out of the 2020 race very quickly.
I know. When we covered him last Thursday, nobody even remembered this presidential run, except,
he dropped out of the presidential race very quickly. So he didn't split the working class vote there.
But God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me.
And here...
I know.
Here he is asked whether he endorses Mamdani. And the question's fairly obvious one because he is in New Jersey. It's a next door state. Much of New Jersey relies on New York for its sort of like economic vibrancy, with all due respect. And
by the way, that tax rate over there in New Jersey is what Zohran wants to raise the corporate tax rate to fund free buses. So, yeah.
And it's a reasonable question because he came out 2 weeks after Eric Adams won his primary and congratulated him and endorsed him. And he's weighed in on, I think, governor's races in New York. I mean, he's done this before. It's completely understandable why someone would ask him this question. And then he sort of comes up with a different answer.
About Mamdani, are you going to support him?
I have learned a long time ago, let New York politics be New York politics. We got enough challenges in Jersey. I got a governor's race. I'm supporting Mikey Sherrill. I got legislative races. That's where my energy is going to go going into November. New York City, I love you. You're my neighbor. You're about 10 miles from where I live. You guys figure out your elections. I'm going to focus on mine.
What happened to vote blue no matter who?
The blue is Israel?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. There is a dollar figure associated with him not endorsing Mamdani.
Yes.
Like it's just there was a check that came in, just like good job. Thank
Same
you,
with
Corey.
Jeffries.
Thanks for holding the line.
Same with Jeffries, same with Schumer. Yep. I mean, man, it is embarrassing that they spent so much time screaming at the left for their disloyalty because they were upset about Bernie Sanders losing the 2016 or 2020 primary or whatever it is. And they just show their ass like this. It's just this is why Democrats have the lowest approval rating in 30 years. It's because people think they're craven liars.
Well, for good reason.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.